It's time for the Take a Seat podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Howell. Please take a seat. Good morning, everyone. This is TakeASeat.tv. I'm your host, Kevin Howell. This show is about learning from entrepreneurs, other entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur and you want to learn how to do business, this is the place to be. This morning, we have a very exciting young entrepreneur on the show, a young lady that is taking the fitness world by storm. So without further ado, let's get Mariam in the show. Mariam Manack, good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning, Kevin. It's awesome to be here this morning with you guys, and I'm excited to see where our conversation is going.
Right. So, Mariam, we quickly had a pre-show call just before this, and you were moving around, finding the right spot for the show. And you said you're in your gym, and I like that because we might just hear some background noises there from the gym. Am I right?
Oh yeah. It can get a bit hectic. So if anything does come across unusual on the show, it's the business live happening at the moment.
Right. Got it. Right, Mariam, so tell me in 3 words, so people who don't know you, who is Mariam, and how did you get to this spot?
Okay, so my name is Mariam Manack. I am a sports scientist by profession, so I studied at the University of UKZN, and
Right.
I qualified in 2010, and immediately sort of kickstarted my fitness and my profession then, with having absolutely no interest in money at the time, rather just getting into the industry, getting into the system, learning everything, and holding on to things that I can carry with me through the rest of my journey and to start. That happened in 20. If I could give you a little bit of feedback about who I am personally before my profession, I've always been a fitness enthusiast from a young age. I've always sought inspiration from my dad, who has a disability. And he has a disability called polio. So with polio, your one limb does not function. Okay, there's no muscle. It's almost as if you don't have a leg, but it's there. It's also a lot more weaker. It's you've got to wear a whole sort of contraption on your leg to literally survive the day. So my dad has always been someone that I saw who never gave up. Someone who till this age at 65, fitness does not become something he will say he can't do. And for that matter, in that same respect, he carries this kind of principle through his whole life. And watching him as a kid obviously made me see that there's no limits in life, and through fitness and empowering yourself through fitness, you can do so much more. That's me. I've always taken part in sporting activities, really enjoyed moving with people together, community kind of stuff. Sports days where you have a team and you kind of motivate them and they motivate you. And I enjoy that sort of sense in what I do today, which is where I house all these amazing ladies who come in and train, and sort of we're building up our own community.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Mariam, so tell me the entrepreneurial spirit. You spoke about your dad as a source of inspiration, but where do you think your entrepreneurial spirit comes from? Do you think it's something you were born with? Do you think it's something you learned?
My entrepreneurial spirit came in from, I would say now, if I look back, from a young age. So I've always spent my holidays working, some sort of work. Whether it was not even fitness at the time. Fitness was just something that kept me going in life. It was like sort of this handbag that I would carry with me everywhere. I did work in a family business for many, many years. And we all know how that can be. But I
can help.
But at a young, tender age, where my friends would be out on school holidays, going to the movies, going ice skating, spending weekdays doing the normal things kids would do. I would be in the business and I would be working, 6:30 in the morning, driving off with my dad, going to work, following the rules, listening to what you need to do, abiding by the rules of that of the business, and then that for me was how my school holidays were spent. I won't be too harsh. I'll say I had 1 or 2 days where I could go off and have fun, but it was mainly where my Decembers, my Julys were spending time in the business. And at the time, you obviously feel like you're different. Your friends are out having good times, spending money and doing the normal things that kids would do. Whereas I was just in this business 6:30 to 5:30 every single day, and literally grinding. My duties were communication with customers, sales, and I sort of found a very good motivation every time you made a sale or you locked it down. And just to date back, I started at the age of say 9 or 10, where when I got to my teens, I was in full understanding of how the business would operate, what would be required. Obviously, in terms of the front of the business, in terms of the back and the financials and how the business worked, I was still getting to there. So yeah, if I go back to grade 1 though, in 1996, I had my great grandfather had a business where he would sell beading and imitation jewelry. So I managed to get a few pieces of this from a lot that obviously he had left behind. Through family, visiting friends, I picked it up and I obviously took it. And then I went to school and I sold it. But I didn't know at that time that you cannot do business in school. So someone sold me out. I made 14 Rand at that time. So I sold it for like 50 cents a bangle or like a bracelet. And 14 Rand in 1996 for a 6-year-old was quite a bit of money. Someone sold me out. They told the teacher that I am trading business and I'm in school, and I didn't see a problem with it, obviously. But I made the 14 Rand, and then I went, I had the 14 Rand kept in a little money packet, and I would keep it in my backpack. And the one day I was going to Checkers with my mom, and then I left the backpack open. When I went home, I think my 14 Rand fell out my bag, and that was just like, that was something I can never let go of. But
There goes your wealth.
There's so much, yeah, that's my wealth. And there's been so much of principle that goes in that little incident of selling the stuff in a place that you're not supposed to be selling, and then having to lose that money because of your negligence. As small as the scenario seems, to date, you can actually relate to it and so many things with what you do with business today.
Right. So it's that whole idea of starting something from nothing and actually seeing that you can earn some money for. That's the exciting part of that.
Absolutely. And then obviously, when you get a taste of 1 Rand, 2 Rand, 3 Rand, you start to...
It just starts
it starts
growing.
to feel nice. Yeah, it starts to feel nice, and then you sort of go back for more, and then you go back for more. Yeah, so it's
Right.
been a good journey thus far, but I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
Right. So, Mariam, tell me, you obviously said your inspiration was your father. Is that the only reason you started the business, and why iTrain? What was what else motivated you to start iTrain?
So, yes, my family and all the the high roles in my life have played an important role in terms of where I am today, but there is something that where I found a love for fitness. Okay, and if I just take you back before studying the degree, I was often told that you're going to go into sports. It's a very male dominant profession. You're not going to get a job. You have to move overseas. The money isn't good. You're going to have to eventually stand in a like just train people, and then how are you going to sustain your life, your livelihood? Can this actually work? You're an Indian Muslim female. Is there a place for you? So these kind of questions were lashing at me ongoing. However, it didn't deter me, because as I said to you, I grew up enjoying fitness. What I wanted to do, I had this vision where if I feel good by doing and incorporating fitness and health into my life, can't I teach it to people to let them feel the same, and to let them feel the feeling I'm getting, that can steer me through my life and help me or empower me through doing everything I want to do. So I went off and studied regardless. I had no interest in how much money I was going to make, where I was going to go, and that sort of thing. And then once I qualified, I knew I had to get experience And being an Indian female going into a gym where it's male dominant, you have a lot of males in a gym setting, bodybuilding and that sort of thing, and females are often very a minority at that time in a gym. Also, in my community, it wasn't something that you as a Muslim Indian female would lean towards. You were better off being seen as another profession, like a doctor or like a speech therapist, because of
Right.
who you are in your ethnic group, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
So anyway, going forward, I went off and worked into the gym, and I got a lot of clients. I was loving the energy that I was getting from this. Okay, so the pay was average and that sort of thing, and the hours were long. It was 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. But I mean, I started to feel like I'm on the right track, and I made the good and best decision that I could. And then from there is when I just branched off and did my own thing in 2011. So I left the gym after 6 months, went into like a small little room where I was training clients, never had Instagram, Facebook, none of those things we used at the time, not even WhatsApp as a means of communication. So I would just train word of mouth. I trained one lady, and my pricing was cheap. I would be like 50 Rand an hour for private one-on-one. So I really didn't go in with this intention of making a lot of money or setting myself up to where I am now 10 years later. Being a brand ambassador to Puma, being not listed on Forbes, and obviously I now have this sort of ability to steer and build a community within my reach through fitness. Okay,
Right.
so basically it was me using my love for fitness and my entrepreneurial interest, and I sort of
Yes.
merged the two
Combine those two.
Yes, where in the past people wouldn't think those two go together.
Yes.
Sporting is sport, and sport is like you in that category, and then entrepreneur, you on your laptop, you on your desk. It's a formal job. You gotta
Yes.
wear a suit and tie, that sort of thing.
Great. Mariam, I love that concept, and something that we speak often about at Take a Seat.tv is using your passion and your natural abilities to find purpose in life and meaning in life. And I think that's what you're describing. And we're going to come back to that because I want to talk more about that later on. But you were saying that this was not something that a Muslim woman would be doing. It's almost like you started a disruption in your own community, and would you say that helped you when you started the business? Because I mean, it was disruptive, as you say. It's not the norm to do this in your community.
No, it's not the norm. I was one of 4 Indians in my studying group at UKZN, one of 2 Muslim females. Okay, so I was definitely a minority. Most of my friends did BCom. Okay, that was BCom. Majority of them did a BCom degree. I would hardly see them. It was actually, I would see them being in a sports kit, all sweaty and like, it was just not cool for campus. Sports is cool now though. So if you're in your kit and you wear it,
everyone runs around in their sports uniforms.
Yeah. Now it's all cool. But if I look at that, being a Muslim, I mean, I see it as something so, I mean, it's so dynamic to break the stereotype and like, sort of lead other girls that can potentially go this way,
You're right.
And there has been that effect in the community where I have personally witnessed an influx of more girls in my sort of persona that have gone into this pathway of their careers and their profession.
Nice.
Because it now seems okay, People sort of like, oh, but she did it. Whereas before, people's parents would be like, no, you can't do that because you're gonna have to be standing in a men. But now it's like, oh, look at that girl, you can do that.
It's possible.
It's possible. She's of your group, your ethnic group, your cultural group, your family tradition. She's doing it, and she's not breaking any rules or sort of being rebellious in any way. She's just pushing a profession. So right now, that's what I've seen. I've seen people looking at my situation and they're actually saying, this is possible. My daughter can do this, or I can do it. I can go into this and I can do it. And she's done it. And yes, it may not have been the normal thing at the time, but now it's become something very open. Our community has so many fitness trainers, Muslim girls, aspiring to make big moves and to grow within themselves, grow the community. So
Wow.
yes, it was disruptive in the beginning, but I think now it's sort of like this is a new norm. This
Yes.
is a new norm for girls of your color, girls of your
Yes.
tradition, your religion. And that's the beautiful thing about fitness, is that it took so long for people to understand that fitness is for everyone.
Yes.
It's growing fitness is for everyone, and every community deserves fitness leaders that can help them improve their lives. And that's about it. Okay.
Right. Tell me, I'm really interested in that demographic, and how you see it, Mariam. Do you think because you come from that community, you mostly attract Muslim young ladies, or is the group becoming diversified as you move forward?
So it's been 10 years now. And naturally, when I did start, it was word of mouth. So word of mouth does happen within your own
Yes.
community. Now, however, as time has been moving and people have been taking an interest in women's fitness, women have been wanting to just be in a group setting where they feel motivated and they're not alone. There has been a nice growth in the diversity of the kind of clientele that have come to iTrain. So we have, different colors, all different colors. We even
Right.
have men, a men's group. We
Oh,
have
nice.
children, we have boys, we have young boys, we have young girls, and then we have a men's division where we have a guy trainer who does them. It's grown to that now. It's not we're not. And the nature of being an entrepreneur is that you're never, sounds weird, but you're never content with just being that person doing
Yes.
that. You're always looking to
Right.
go left, go right, go forward, go back.
Correct.
So
Love
for
it.
me, growth growth is about just evolving, and
Yes.
then fitness is something that, in this day and age, who isn't involved in it? Who doesn't
Yes.
have a social media account that you don't follow that showcases fitness? So it's
Yep.
become a very all-inclusive movement.
Right. Right. Mariam, now you were talking about how it's changed from the start, because I read in some of your material that it started off as a very women-focused environment, and as you say, now you've grown into a men's group and a kids group and other
Yeah.
demographics. How much of your drive to expand is listening to your customers and what they want? I mean, how much is your idea and how much comes from your market and listening to your client base?
Okay, so obviously I'm in a service-based industry. Okay. Um, but I have a husband who's in a product-based industry. So we kind of like, he always says
Right.
to
You
me,
feed from each other. Right.
you're in a much better space because you offer service and all you need to do is have
Okay.
polished service offering, right?
Right.
And I truly get that. Whereas product based, you have tons of other issues that come with that. But with my industry and what I've done over the years is that from the very beginning of day one, I always gave like 200% to an individual, whether they were paying me that extra or not. That was something that I sort of pride myself in doing. But based on that, if you look now, 10 years later, service has become such it's a prominent feature of any service-based business, like personal training, whatever industry that services, what you do with service. But
Yep.
I often run surveys with my clients. I want to know what they want. I also connect with them on a daily basis. So you sort of understand how they're feeling. You sort of understand how to make them feel better through what they want through your service. And especially in this time of the pandemic, I did really big, deep research on how to better my profession, because what the pandemic did to me was it sort of like took me a little bit down. Okay. And then you sort of get forced to going back to basics. You go back to thinking like, where are my strengths in this business, where are my weaknesses, and then you sort of the same answer came up all the time, that service is something that needs to be cream of the crop when you are doing
Right.
anything. From a phone call to a WhatsApp message to your training session, it's not just in the training session. You know, we've
Yep.
got to check up clients every single day. We've got to help them manage their days every single day. People also have old bad habits that die hard. You've got to now game change them. And in
Okay.
health and in the health profession, you know what a task that is at hand. So part of the service is where we have a group of trainers. We are 6 trainers. We are all allocated tasks of looking after clients. And so far this year, it's gone a lot better. Okay.
Right.
But
You
to put you into perspective, if I'm coming from an entrepreneurial state of mind, that if you're 100% and if your service isn't the game changer, then you're not gonna surface to the.
Sorry, we had technical difficulty there. You back?
Yes, I'm back.
Sorry, so you were saying service is paramount in the service industry. So Mariam, I want to ask you about being competitive, because I mean this is a very, very competitive environment. So what else do you do besides service? How do you stay competitive? Because I mean, there's large gym groups in our country. We've had COVID. How do you stay on top of things after all of this?
So there's two big things. You said basically the market is saturated now. We've got a lot of gyms. We've got big gyms, the big brands, and then we've got COVID. So those are two separate things that I kind of like deconstructed each piece of what they two were made up. So the COVID came with its own bang. But in terms of the big brands, as much as I would say they are competitors and they do take a percentage of the market, majority of the market. My service is a premium offering in a boutique gym, so it's private boutique. It's
Yes.
it's a very different experience. The client sort of has that personal attention that they would get with you that they would not get at a bigger, more clinical kind of setting.
Okay.
So that's what to do with the market. In terms of COVID, I think over the 10 years, building a brand has helped me to stay and to stay not on top of my game, but to stay ahead and use my brand as leverage to do online training, as leverage to sell more products like the vitamin range that I launched during the pandemic, which is
Yes.
so relevant at the time. Online training became something that the whole world is doing. So I think I want to thank I want to look back and say there was good 10 years of work that actually got people to say, oh, we want to try iTrain's online training. They've been around for a while. We know the quality of the training is good. And they have vitamins and they have supplements. We need this in this time. The prices are very valuable. It's a click. I don't want to go into a store. They deliver to you. So it's also about staying very relevant, no matter what. As
Right.
challenging as it came across and as challenging as it was, I still managed to use my passion again that came through, my love for what I do, and obviously the drive that I have to provide good service ongoing to every single client.
Got it. Got it. You were saying earlier on your husband's in product sales and you're in service. And obviously you speak about this often at home. What would you say is the main difference between trying to sell a product to someone, a physical product, and trying to sell a service?
Well, trying to sell a product, so it's a food business, right? He obviously has to make sure that the food is hot, okay, that the food is tasty, that the food is of high quality, it's fresh, and then obviously that your team that's behind the job is doing an excellent job to deliver that final product.
Right.
Now, that's something that's tangible. Someone's going to touch it, eat it. It's a different experience. Now, with With service, on the other hand, it's sort of very systematic, and it can be formalized at the same time, where you just follow protocol, just like where you sign up the client, you obviously do a consultation with the client, you check up on the client. Is the client progressing? Yes, goes to this side, no, goes to that side, find the solution.
Okay.
So with the product, it ends after they've eaten that product, it's over.
Yes.
You want them to come back and obviously buy the product tomorrow or the next day.
Yes.
Whereas service, that kind of journey does not just end. Nobody just eats up your service and it's over.
Right.
So it's sort of like with every client, you're carving a pathway, and you got to keep the pathway smooth sailing, where you could have some thunderstorms and you could have some bad weather on the way. And that's obviously your problem, because you are running the business. It's not the client's problem at the end of the day. You got to pop in an umbrella where you can, or So
I like that.
That's the difference. That is a big difference.
It's a much more personal journey, and I think the relationship grows very deeply in that process. Well, and it could also break very deeply if it goes wrong. But as you say, that's the challenge: is to ease the pain during the journey for the client during that service offering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the pandemic showed us like the dynamics of people. People gain so much of weight in that small time. I mean, they've lost weight for 5 years, and then lockdown, boom. Then they've also got demotivated. People are scared, they're anxious. I mean, the list goes on, but I've had to sort of pull myself out even more to clients to give them that sort of hope. People were just looking for hope. Till now,
Right. Mariam, now you said two things that I think are really important. I'm not sure if you attach a lot of value to that. I'd like to know, but from what I see from the outside, two things you said was, one is your background in the sciences. I mean, it's not often that you find people in the fitness industry that are, highly trained. Most people have some understanding of personal training, but I mean, you guys, I see you focus heavily on health sciences. I mean, you are a trained individual. So how much of that is important in what you do today? How much of that is the competitive advantage that you have?
Okay, so I studied a degree. It was a 3-year degree. It was sports science, and I left it there. I did apply for honors, but I felt that I had to make that decision. Do I start getting work experience after campus? Do I study, continue to study and not being able to work? But I took the step to rather work. Okay.
Yes.
No regrets. Absolutely no regrets on that. Because like now when I look back, it was sufficient for me to do that. My degree was good enough. It gave me a good backing for the many things, because in the degree we don't just do the science of movement or kinesiology. We actually go into stats. We go into a bit of psychology. We go into a bit of languages. So the degree itself was quite dynamic. We touched all types of things. It was to do with sporting. It was to do with the physiological demands of the body and how the body works. To date, at the moment in our team, everyone in our team is either a sports scientist, a biokineticist, an exercise scientist. We have a strong team, all with obviously professional degrees. But I think that as much as many trainers that are upcoming are studying diplomas or studying short courses, because you have a lot of access now to short courses, I find that the degree still holds a stronger value in terms of what you got out of it.
Right.
As much as so you open up a fitness business, no one actually, but the funny thing that you actually brought this to my attention is some people didn't even know I was qualified.
Wow.
So people just think that anyone can become a trainer,
Right.
So, but when you actually say, and they say like 8 months down the line, they're like, yeah, so what made you do this? Did you like just do a course, or is this your passion? And I'll be like, guys, I'm actually qualified. I'm a sports scientist by profession. They'll be like, do you even get that? Is that like a profession?
Right.
So people don't even know that exists. So when you ask me what value it holds to an individual coming here, I don't think they would even know. But in terms of me, the backing of what you learned in the degree, like outshines any other course. I could tell you that.
Right. So it's almost like, you go there to learn about sports and sciences, but you learn a lot about life, and your character grows while you're doing that degree. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, you
Yeah.
put under situations, and I mean, the conditioning, physical part of it is so intense that if you didn't make it, the punishment would be you must stand in the hot sun at 12 o'clock for 2 hours until you learn how to come stronger to your session. So it's
Right.
quite
Right.
bizarre when you think about it now. But I
Yes.
mean, it was intense. It was, you involved it with people, your colleagues. It was intense. The training was intense. Your coaches were hectic. They were not, they
Yes.
were this old school kind of mentality where it's do or die. So I
Right.
think that's the difference that we also had. It came in with a lot of discipline.
Mm.
And basically, you could not cope with that degree. You had to back down. And we saw a good number of people backing out after first year, you know.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
Hashtag, it's not for everyone. It was a bit brutal. And I think everyone in the academic side would be fine. But when it came to the conditioning and the sports side, that was your make or break.
Okay. So what would you say as a South African entrepreneur? Would you suggest to young entrepreneurs to do some sort of degree, or do you think it's a case by case situation? Whether you need it for that business is really how you make those decisions.
Look, I think there's two parts to the business. There's having a passion for it and being involved in it physically. So that's you training your body, you finding new ways of moving your body. Like I took up triathlon training about 4 years ago, and I incorporated it into my training, as well as marathons and that sort of thing. But then there's also this entrepreneurial part of it. I speak to some trainers, and I'm always like, hey, don't you want to be part of my team? I have these opportunities for you. We can grow together. And some of them are just like, no, but I want to just be a one-on-one trainer, and I don't really want to go. I don't want to make it a business. I don't want to
Right.
go into putting
Right.
myself in that kind of stress and that kind of. So a lot of people don't always see it as something they want to like go so hardcore that they become so. Business is stressful,
Absolutely.
So that's one part of it. And then you get others that are looking at brands like myself, looking at other people where they've grown and they sort of have different segments in the brand coming out, where they're doing women, they're doing men, they're doing kids, they're doing soccer club, they're doing run club, and growing it into a business concept. So I think I can't say that having the degree is the best option, because people's finances and so many things to consider now that comes in when you are starting a profession. But I think if you are going to study this profession, you need to put your heart and your soul into it, and give it your best. Don't just do it because everyone's doing it. If
Yep.
you are going to be a trainer, be a game changer.
Right.
Come to the top of the party. Don't just sit there and do what everyone else is doing and just hold your certificate and say, I'm qualified, or I've done a 1-year course and now I want to go into this gym thing, So it boils down to giving of your best. And that's
Yes.
where the difference will be made with every single trainer.
Okay. Got it. So, Mariam, you were speaking about your passion, and then, how you married your passion for the fitness industry, the passion for business. You also said that not everyone should be, in a certain profession. Not everyone's made to be an entrepreneur. And this all points to this whole concept of doing what you're passionate about, using your natural abilities, and that creating meaning in your life. So at Take a Seat TV in the Academy, we've got this course called the Life Accelerator course, where we actually analyze your passions and your talents, and we try and get you to your major definite purpose. So I want to take a short ad break about this course, but when I come back, I want to talk to you about how your natural ability and your passion has driven your business up to this point. We'll be back now. Want to accelerate your life? Start by finding your purpose. Purpose has become somewhat of a cliche, but in recent years, research has shown that purpose is a tool that can be used to enjoy the abundant life. Yes, you too can become wealthy and live a meaningful life. We have developed an action-packed 6 weeks online course that takes you through 6 critical steps to start taking massive action towards your abundant life. Go to www.takeaseat.tv and click on Academy. Get ready to accelerate. So, Mariam, think about purpose, your passions, your talents. And I think the starting point here for me is I'd like to know, do you find meaning and purpose in your day-to-day life, or is it only about making money?
I wouldn't do something I don't enjoy, even if it made me money. So
Right.
I wake up every day like I love what I do. I can wake up
Okay.
as early as you want me to, just to do my job because I like it. I will not waste my life or time, or I'll say it now quite openly that I won't waste my time doing something I don't love. Life is too short, and it is, as much as it's about money. For me, in the beginning, there was no money. There was no formal running of the business that I have now. It was just taking cash in hand, putting it in my cupboard, and then the cash became more, and then you start to be like, oh, whoa, this is going somewhere. So
maybe I need an accounting system.
which came into play. So you've got the accounting system, then you start growing a team, and then you need contracts because you've got staff and you've got this. So look, anyone will tell you, they'll either tell you I love my job or I hate my job.
Right.
Most of the time, if they hate their job and they're still there, it's because of the money.
Yes.
Okay. Or they're taking it because of that good pay, and that good pay is making them survive. People who love their jobs, they'll tell you, I rather entrepreneur, you'll in the background you'll be busting your head, falling on the floor, tripping all over, and then you come to the surface and you look like nothing ever happened. And then people just think that the dollar was made, just with you sitting at your desk beautifully and making a sale or getting something. Absolutely not,
It was war. It was absolute war out there.
Oh yeah, it's like hectic. It just gets rough. I wish you could do like some sort of, illustration to show how an entrepreneur is on the inside.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's imperative. And I mean, if I'm going to be speaking to kids and I'm going to be doing youth programs with children, I'm going to tell them to find something that they love, and from there take it into and make it into a business.
Got it.
I would tell it to my daughter. I would tell her the same thing. I'd be like, you need to find something you love. It's not about being the highest paid profession, because anyone can make money. Money is for everyone,
Yes.
It's about you. It's about your success, and it's intentional. You got to get up every day and want to be successful. And then with that money is sort of like, it's hand in hand.
Show.
It will come.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I see in your life, Mariam, on various levels, is you have a story to tell. And I think your customers are attracted to that story. That's how it all starts. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm not here to only take your money. That's also nice to do that. But I mean, the story behind what you do is so powerful. And that's really why people are attracted to it.
Yeah, I think the story is inspiring. So I would train a lot of ladies, but then in the background I would get messages to be like, wow, you really love your job. You really work hard at it. You must love what you do. You're so inspiring. I spoke to my daughter about you, and your story and your journey has been something that I've taken inspiration from. So there's this. So you do your day-to-day work, which is providing the client with the best service. But then in the background, people are looking at you and they're admiring you, and they sort of having this kind of newfound respect for you as a trainer.
Yep.
They're not just looking at you, be like, oh, you were born in this way. You were born fit. You were born naturally looking this way. You probably eat broccoli every day, and then they actually start to learn more about you. They learn that you're actually just human. You are as good as they are. You are not any different. It's just the way you plan on going and doing things in life that makes the difference, that I think.
Yeah. Madam, now you spoke about you being a human being, and also obviously having the struggles of anyone else, sorting out your own health. What does a normal schedule look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so today Take a Seat took up an hour of my
you can send us the invoice.
But I'm very happy to be here, because now that I've learned about what you're doing, if this podcast and this show can change one person, then it was a good deed from my side, and it was something good that I did and that you did. Because any
Absolutely.
change in the world is good. So I'm happy to be on here. It's really early mornings as a trainer. Any trainer would tell you, and I'm not just a trainer. We'll go back to the fact that I actually have a full-on business that needs attention. You know, I don't know when in life the business will need less attention, but it does. Like, I mean, it's 5 a.m.s, so I got to get up. If I'm not training at that time, it's doing work. I also have a 15-month-old daughter who changed my life in every way possible. So
it's sleepless nights at the moment.
yeah, that's become something I'm now like, oh, you
Okay.
don't even give it thought. You don't even give it thought. You put your alarm, you slept for 2 hours, you get up and you got to go. So 5 o'clock in the morning, I tend to like my work, admin, following up on emails, because as you know, in business, if you don't reply earlier on in the day, you'll only get a reply after 5, and then you've wasted that entire day of productivity. It's catching up with clients, and on my side, I get inquiries every single day. You get new people, keen, interested, asking questions. So you've got to give that attention. I also have a team of a good number of trainers. We have a professional boxer. We have exercise scientists, like I mentioned. We have a rehab specialist, a massage therapist, a physiotherapist, Pilates instructor, a dietitian. So micromanaging the team is also something that I have to attend to. And in business, one day off or one small lift off the leg off the pedal you can crash. So that is required. And then I spend time with my daughter from that. So I allocate 9 a.m. to the rest of the day until she's napping. And then in her nap time, it's meal prep. So it's me eating healthy, not just telling people what to eat. So it's prepping my food, doing more work that I need to do, and then obviously getting in a training session, because you got to be fit.
Right.
You can become so consumed in business, and this has happened to me before, where your work takes so much of your time, energy, and your brain, that you actually just sideline training, and then you got to come back to your purpose and be like, okay, business will always go on, but your health is of priority. You cannot function fully in business if you're not going to be fit and if you're not going to be healthy. So it's an early day for me, and then I work late at night. So it's no wonder you probably got a reply from me late at night on a WhatsApp, because that is honestly the time that I work.
Right.
And
Right.
at the end of the day, look, Kevin, you got to make do. I can sit and complain about how there's not enough time in a day, and how the pandemic has just caused repercussions of issues in my business or in the community, in people's lives. But I'm picking up the pieces, and I've honestly been now gone to a point where I'm opening up another gym, so that's exciting for me.
Wow, I like that. So the second branch.
Second branch is coming. We're opening up on the 5th of July. Are we ready? We will be ready. Yeah, let's just pretend everything's going in order.
Mariam, now listen, I speak to so many young guys and ladies who want to start businesses, and I hear this thing about, I want my own business because then I'm going to be free. And I'm like, I don't get that. And from what you've just described to me, that's not the case. That's not how a business starts.
No, absolutely not. There's no such thing as, I think they're talking about, this is two parts of freedom. There's being financially free. So you're your own boss, and the money you
Which
make
doesn't happen in the first 10 years.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And then absolutely not. And then you have the freedom of where I can wake up at whatever time I want to. I can work when I want to. The difference is that when you've taken on the responsibility of running a business and you want to make it successful, there's a big difference there. You want it to be successful. So you have to put in all the effort and all the time. And to be honest, that when you work for yourself, it's almost like a 24/7. So for me, working on a Sunday does not make a difference to my life. It's mandatory. You've got to work, you've got to work. There's no days off in your own business. Whereas if you're working where you conform to normal working hours, you close the door at 5 o'clock and then you open your doors again at 8. And that's a different kind of experience. But again, the financial freedom is great, but it depends on you. So if you're not going to make it a success, then there's no freedom. You go back to where you had to be. You go back to that hole that you didn't want to be in. And then, yeah, that's the reality of it.
But I mean, you're gonna be absolutely working much harder for the first 5 years than what you ever worked in your life, and make a lot more sacrifices than what you ever thought you would.
Yeah, but Kevin, can I be very honest with you? So I worked super hard, obviously, in the beginning and you sort of think like, oh, in 5 years' time, I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna become like so. Now, if I look now at this 21, it's exactly now 10 years later. The pandemic pushed me to working super hard again, you know. And when I mean hard, I mean going back to the basics on the foundations of my business, where the last, say, 6 years was spent on innovation and the groundwork was already laid. I've had to come through a pandemic and pick up the groundwork from the very back, from the very beginning, on the basics, you know, to get it back to smooth sailing, to get it back to where I wanted to be in order to grow it again from there. And yeah, the hard work does not end. It requires a lot of grit, and you become tough. You know, it really does change you as a person. You become so tolerant, you become patient, you become resilient. So anything that gets thrown at you, you got to tackle it. You know, there's no room for crying or a complaints department. You know, there's no HR in your
There's
business
no one
where
that's
you as a
listening to
business
you.
owner can go to. You can't go to someone and complain about anything, you know?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
you being a sponge to every single good and bad that comes your way.
Right. Right. Mariam, now, and this I hear often. I love that concept of COVID got me back to the basics. And I love that. I mean, I think it's a burden for a lot of us that you have to go back to the basics again. But what did you learn from going back there after many years? You said 10 years, going back to the nuts and bolts of your business. What did COVID do for you when you went back into the basics of things?
You know, in true entrepreneurial style, I'll say I appreciate the fact that I got thrown into the beginning of time, because sometimes you need that reminder. You know, you need to go back to where you understand what built you and how to better that. So imagine it's like getting a second chance at rebuilding upon a foundation, you know, building a second story, a second floor. And COVID put me in that position where I went back to 10 years ago. Why did people come to me? What did they like? Why was my service so good comparatively to others? You know,
Yes.
what did they gain? And I promise you, it comes up to like 5 different points. Simple. It's actually
Right.
so simple. And it sort of gave me a reason to come alive again through the pandemic. A lot of the way I'm feeling came out in this video that I have launched. You know, we discussed. It's called A True Pandemic, and I'm very grateful for every single client that has walked into my door, every single service offering that I've given to a client, and it's given me now the reassurance that, you know what, you've got what it takes, but
Yes.
you know, you gotta fasten the bottom. You gotta rebuild your foundations or grow the second floor. You know,
Yes. Yes.
grow the second story of your business. This is your second story. This is your second chance,
Right.
and you gotta make it work. You know,
Yes.
there's a solution. So use what you've known and use what you've understood and have taken from your business, and just sort of reinforce everything. And
Right.
slowly you'll pick up again. You know, for me,
Yes.
2021 isn't going to be about the numbers of how much I was able to get in or how much I was able to earn in terms of profit, but to me it's about rebuilding your business and reinforcing the foundations, but at the same time bringing back your community to feel good again.
Okay. Right. So helping other people feel better about the situation, and that
Yes.
the knock-on effect is that your business can restore itself.
Absolutely. I mean, in this time, normal clients who would pay easily have now come to terms of where they've got to have budgets. I've got to implement a payment structure
Payment
to
plans,
accommodate
whatever.
payment
Yeah.
plans. I've had to incorporate all these kind of conveniences to basically help people to incorporate fitness into their life. You know, they've chosen
Yep.
you as their preferred choice. So the least
Yes.
you can do is accommodate them as best as
Yes.
you can,
Yes.
you know, and that's important.
Yeah. Mariam, now, I'm interested to know, were you planning the next branch pre-COVID, or did that happen as a result of COVID?
So I had the vision in 2019 that came across where I saw my business as something that had settled, um, something that could honestly go into a franchising concept, you know.
Okay.
So I saw this as, okay, let me use the franchise model and incorporate another branch at some point in 2020. I also, through the years, have sort of identified which locations were premium. So where people wanted me to be in, that's where I'm going. You know, it's
Okay.
not like I just took a random location, putting up a gym there. Very strategic. You know, I had to wait for the right space. I had to wait for the right time. And believe it or not, COVID is not the best time. But I sort of put a plan together based on my vision board that I had in 2019 and sort of adjusted it to 2021. And I saw the pandemic as maybe taking this opportunity or this plan that I had and planting it now, because I foresee that in the next 2 or 3 years, things will ease up, and having my base and foundation laid in the second location will sort of help me to crawl slowly again. Whereas, say, if wasn't COVID, I'd have a huge influx of clients coming to my gym. I may not have been able to cope. I may not have been
Yeah.
able to manage two different branches at the same time effortlessly. And I would have
Yes.
probably made some unhappy customers. Whereas now with COVID, it'll be a slow growth, which I'm
Right.
fine with. I've
Right.
accepted that, and I'm excited to sort of grow it each month and then every year,
Yeah.
ongoing.
Yep. So I see this as almost like the year of restoration, and like you said, going back to the basics. If I walk into your next branch, what am I going to see is different from what it would have been if it was pre-COVID? What am I going to see as a customer?
Uh, Less of me, maybe.
Okay.
Uh, Less of my time,
Right.
because I can tell you that would have been a problem. And the only reason, because I would have probably gotten in a lot more people and a lot more clientele walking into that gym than it would now. Bearing in
Okay.
mind, my gym is not a clinical gym. It's not where you have machines and you do your own thing. My gym is is structured in a way where you are privately trained and coached in a group setting. So you walk in and you're not going to hang on a machine or sit on a leg press machine. You're going to lift equipment and you're going to follow the trainer at hand telling you what to do functionally using your own body. Based on that, I would have probably had more clients than I could take on. I would have had
Okay.
more people to manage, micromanage, bearing in mind how limited my time is during the day. um, I would also not be able to coach my trainers properly, because each trainer requires a certain amount of time, a certain amount of coaching time. So I
Yes.
find that would have been the difference you would have seen, you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Um, so I think let's use the next year or so with the new gym to sort of slowly master that service again. We talk about service and
Yes.
get it up to scratch so that every client that walks into that gym will receive 150% of service.
Yeah. Yeah. Madam, it's almost like it's been a humbling process, and I see that in your life. It's so important as entrepreneurs that we stay humble and stay hungry for new ideas and new wisdom. And there are people that try and avoid talking about the effect of COVID on their business, and then there are people like you that say, "Listen, it gave me a knock. I was knocked down on my knees for a while, but I got up and I saw some opportunity here." For not necessarily more turnover or money, but definitely a major change in how I view my business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's grown me to grow a lot of patience, though. I won't lie to you. As being an entrepreneur,
Something that entrepreneurs don't have.
you can choose. You can either be swearing your day away, or you
Right.
can just beautifully swallow in that scenario and sort of just effortlessly sort it out and breathe through the process, or you can go on swearing and just not having a good day. But going back to the fact that it's a humbling experience, yes, it is. I have learned so much in this time. I think with time you often become not ungrateful, you sort of forget. you get so used to success that
Yes.
when it doesn't happen, you sort of like, what?
You're
This is
frustrated. What happened? Yeah.
frustrated, like, how could this happen to me? No ways. I've worked so hard, and I'm working hard, and I've
Yes.
spent all my blood in this business, and I haven't slept, and I've
Yes.
given so much back to people, and
I
you get,
deserve to be successful.
I deserve to be successful. Like, not me, somebody else, but please, not me. But you know what? That is business. It's uncomfortable. It's not
Yes.
a comfortable experience.
And it's unfair. It's unfair.
It's unfair. I sometimes question, but I put this upon myself. I'm the one that's chasing success. Somebody next to me will be like, hey, so if it's not happening, it's not happening. Wait for a better time.
Yes.
But I cannot. I also live through accomplishment and achievement, and with this humbling experience, I've achieved so much more by learning about my own business, learning about myself. I've actually highlighted now what I enjoy most. I was telling my husband the other day that we do beach sessions on a Saturday. And the beach sessions are now in winter. It's so dark. It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
That is a competitive advantage in any gym, is to have a beach session. I'm jealous.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's cold. It's freezing cold. It is dark. So I'm on the way in the dark, driving by myself with the heater on. And I get to the beach, but I'm absolutely loving it. Like, I know it's a priceless moment for me. I'm there, I'm waiting for my clients, I'm watching the sunrise. I've learned to appreciate those very
The small
beautiful
things.
things that my business has to offer me.
Mm.
I look at those wins where another person could be waking up at 6 to look at a gray wall, and here I am outside in my fitness gear, feeling energized. The sun's coming up. I'm on the beach. I mean, it's just
Powerful.
I've learned to now look at small wins like that.
Yes.
You may not have anything to do with the numbers in that moment,
Yep.
but I mean, that's what business is about. Like, you got to
So important,
appreciate.
Because we're
Yes,
chasing after the success, and it's like you're missing those moments where you can just stop and smell the flowers. That's really what it's about.
Absolutely. And you got to remind yourself, and COVID put us back into that position to say, hey, snap out of it. There's wins here, appreciate
Yes.
it.
Love that.
Someone is worse off than you.
Yep.
I also just come back to that one question where you asked me about being able to possess a degree. I will say, in a time like COVID, my degree gives me leverage and it gives me strength in my business. Where, in conversations where you're obviously trying to explain to someone who you are and what you do, by actually mentioning that, hey, I'm actually a qualified sports scientist, this is what I do, it sort of eases that whole conversation with a business partner, with a client, with a friend.
They have confidence in who you are.
Yes, with a presentation, with a proposal that you may be drawing up. That's also where this degree or this profession and me having that backing came into play.
Right. Mariam, we're getting to the end of our conversation, and it's been really interesting. But I want to just ask you two more questions. One is, if you could alter one life experience that you've had, that you never, if you could change that in your life, what would it be?
Sorry, please repeat that question.
If there's one part of your life that you could change, or one issue in your life, or one experience that you had that you could change, what would it be?
This is such a tough question.
Or is there anything that you would change in your journey up to now?
Less self-doubt.
Okay.
So I was never like your top A student in school. And when you talk about the journey, I said the journey starts from a young age. So I used to always rely on like getting like a prerequisite answer from someone higher than me, or I would see that someone is more smarter than me and that sort of thing, which I found that when I let go of that in my life was when I started my business, and I started to realize that no one is in your shoes. So stop seeking Stop seeking help. Stop seeking validation. This is your business. Use your deep intuition, your gut feeling, your passion, and your smart brain, and the love for what you do, and make good decisions.
Right.
So if I look at what I could change, would be I would say don't give up so easily. Okay, it's a very uncomfortable process. And then when you do get to points in your business where you want to give up, and that has happened to me, where I wanted to let go, and I actually went and studied law at one point. This is between me and you and our viewers. So I'm trying to get at that. Where I thought, like, it was like the
There
second
must
year.
be an easier way than this.
I'm like, maybe if I actually did so well. I went and did 6 months of LLB. I scored super high. I was never an A student, and I got A's for everything. So I felt like it was sort of like my
This
mind
might
was
be a
messing
sign.
with me. Like, is this a sign? Is this another sign? And then, but can I tell you what was the biggest sign? I wasn't enjoying it. Like, I liked learning it. I learned it as a hobby. I learned it to better, but I was not enjoying it. And sitting in a lecture, I kept telling myself, you left your clients and the love for what you do to come and sit here and listen to this boring big book on the shelf. Like,
right.
So at that point, when I wanted to give up, and I felt like there's a better way, there's more money, lawyers make so much money, and looking for validation, so people will recognize me as being a lawyer more than my own profession.
Yes.
Don't do that. Just keep going. Suck it in. Cry if you need to. Be uncomfortable, but just keep going. Just keep pushing on. If you in your heart know you are in the right place, don't move. Don't move. Just stay there.
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot
that's so powerful, Mariam, because it speaks to the concept of vulnerability. And you've just mentioned that the point I think that everyone needs to reach as an entrepreneur is to forget about what people think. Because if you're going to be leading your life about what people think about you, you're never going to come to your full potential. And I think that was that point that you reached in that moment.
No, definitely. I just didn't know how to say it because I didn't. I've never spoken to this about anyone.
Right.
So to be honest with you, but yeah, that showed me that I was about to give up. I was about to let go, and we wouldn't be having this conversation then.
If you had done that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mariam, powerful. So a last question. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would those people be?
Okay. So I've been looking at a few things. So Mandela would be one.
Right.
I admire him for his resilience, the fact that he was patient, tolerant. I could never be that kind of a person. I would not be where I am today as an Indian female if it was not for the strengths that Mandela put in to make changes in this country. So I appreciate him a lot. And it would be the second person would be, I'm very interested in our main guy at the moment, who is Forbes ranking is number 1, Jeff Bezos. I want to meet him. Yes. I was reading up story, and the fact that he started in a garage, I could resonate. And it's just that my figures don't match him.
Not yet
in the time span that he's been working. And third person would be, I recently learned about my family history and where I came from. And I was always told that the men in my family started and were the pioneers of the businesses that happened in my family. Where I recently learned that my late great granny was who passed away when my grandmother was only 13. So we don't know much about her. But I've recently learned that she was the original pioneer who would get onto a bus, order goods from India, ship it through a ship, go on a bus, make a sale here, all over the show, to build such a business where, if you look at this family succession that has come out of it, we've got educated, we've got doctors, lawyers, professionals, business owners through one.
All from that granny. Amazing.
All from that great grandmother. So yeah, I would have loved to meet her.
Amazing. So there's a legacy in your family of women entrepreneurs. I love that.
Yeah, but it only came out in recent times, because you ask the questions and you want to know. And then that's where I've learned it. And that's so important.
So amazing. So amazing. Mariam, it was so wonderful to talk to you this morning. I think our viewers are going to be so inspired, especially the female viewers. So nice to have lady entrepreneurs on the show and speak about that journey. It's probably more difficult for you guys at the moment, but you're doing it and you're an inspiring person. I want to come back to you a couple of months from now, hear about the journey of the second branch, and you might have started the third by then. So if you don't mind, I'd like to keep contact with you and have you on the show in future again.
Absolutely. I'd love to share that journey with you, part of my journey. Give me a bit of time, though.
Another year.
Another year, maybe even a few months. Right. But the next video is taking off and I'm excited. So yes, definitely I would like to catch up with you.
All right. Thanks very much for your time, Mariam, and have a great day. And send regards to all your team members and tell them I thank them for allowing you to have this time on the show. I know it's a long time for an entrepreneur to sit and do nothing or just to talk. So thank them as well from our side, and have a wonderful week.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and I will do that.
Keep well. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.